All right, let's dive in. Today we're looking at a really energetic source, excerpts from Girl, Stop Apologizing.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about women going after their goals and, dropping the apologies for who they are. I'm pretty excited to unpack this one.
It's definitely got a strong message. And the author, she's clear up front, right?
Yeah.
She's not positioning herself as some, academic expert.
Right, and a guru.
No, more like, hey, this is what worked for me. She talks about her journey, coming from a small town, dealing with childhood trauma, only having a high school diploma.
Building this huge company.
Yeah, a multi-million-dollar company. And overcoming her own stuff along the way, insecurity, weight issues, being a people pleaser, all of that.
So it's really grounded in her lived experience, like a roadmap she built herself.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And she breaks it down into 3 main parts for achieving goals.
Which are?
Letting go of excuses, adopting new, better habits, and then acquiring the skills you need.
Okay. And for this deep dive, we're focusing mostly on those first 2, based on the material we have.
Exactly. Looking at the excuses that hold us back and how to sort of dismantle them, and then digging into the behaviors she suggests adopting instead.
Perfect. Let's start with those excuses then, because, wow, the source really leans into them.
Oh, yeah.
She says the list women make is longer and more dramatic than the second half of Hamilton.
Which is saying something. Hamilton's pretty long and dramatic.
Right. So how does she define an excuse, just basically?
Well, in the source, it's pretty simple. Trying to lessen blame or defend yourself, justify something. Basically getting yourself off the hook for not doing something.
Makes sense. Okay, so the first excuse she mentions really stood out to me. That's not what other women do. That feels like, well, it runs deep for a lot of us, doesn't it?
It really does. She uses that story from her childhood, right?
Right.
About her shark teeth.
Yeah. And cutting her own bangs. Oh, my gosh.
With mustache scissors. It's such a vivid image. But she uses it to show how early we start noticing how we're different or what others might see as wrong with us.
And then we try to just blend in.
Exactly. We try to act like them, dress like them, look like them, just trying to get accepted.
So it's this constant pressure to fit some kind of mold.
Totally. And she says by her mid-20s, she got really good at it, at playing a part.
Like a double life almost.
Yeah, she felt like she was living a double life, hiding the parts of herself in her life that didn't fit the expected image.
And this really blew up for her with social media criticism.
Oh, big time. She says it gutted her when strangers would leave nasty comments.
I can only imagine.
It made her really second-guess sharing anything about her actual life, like her work, being an entrepreneur, having a nanny or housekeeper.
Things people might judge.
Right, or taking business trips. So she just stopped. She focused only on the safe stuff, the Pinterest-worthy content, organization tips, parenting stuff, recipes.
So she was basically editing her life for public approval out of fear.
Which she calls apologizing with the way I lived my life. It was like a live omission every time she felt ashamed or changed what she did just to fit in.
But then she had this turning point, right? At a conference.
Yeah, this seems like a really key moment. She had this epiphany, like her dreams weren't just random wants, they were part of her core self, a gift even.
And the only reason they felt wrong was because she was worrying about others.
Exactly. It hit her. What if what was right was truly believing in myself enough to be honest? Being proud of who I was made to be.
That completely changes the perspective.
It really does. And it connects to her point that if you want something new, you often have to do something you've never done before, things that are uncomfortable.
Or things that just plain suck sometimes.
Right. Like, she talks about working free internships for a year while holding down her regular job.
Wow.
Giving up nights and weekends, getting up at 5 a.m. to write. It meant sacrificing comfort, sacrificing personal time, big time.
Okay, so if you know you need to do that hard stuff, how do you actually make sure it happens? She has a strategy for that, right?
Yes, the 5 to Stride. It's pretty straightforward. Commit at least 5 hours every single week, purely dedicated to working on your goal.
And the key is making that time non-negotiable.
Totally sacred, like an appointment you absolutely cannot break. She uses that funny analogy, like if you had a coffee date scheduled with Chris Hemsworth.
You wouldn't cancel.
You would not cancel. Treat your goal time the same way. Give it that same level of importance.
Okay, I like that. 5 to strive. Makes it concrete. Let's move to another excuse she talks about, one she says she really hates.
Ah, yes. Excuse number 5. I can't pursue my dream and still be a good mom-daughter employee.
And she points out you can swap in wife, sister, friend, whatever roles you hold.
Exactly. It applies across the board.
This one just feels so heavy, So many people, especially women, feel this pull between personal goals and responsibilities.
It's huge. And the source makes a really important distinction here between opinion and truth. She argues that this whole idea of perfect work-life balance, well, that's maybe more of an opinion than a hard fact. Life shifts, priorities change constantly.
Right. It's not always going to look balanced from the outside.
No. She gives her own example of writing her book while her family was downstairs by the pool. It wasn't about balance in that exact moment. It was about focusing on a priority.
And she admits she didn't always get this right herself.
Oh, not at all. She talks about how early on she didn't prioritize herself at all. And what happened? She got burned out, sick all the time, struggled with her weight.
So the big insight here is pretty fundamental then.
It really is. You simply cannot take good care of other people if you don't take care of yourself first. Period.
So the goal isn't this external balance necessarily.
It's more internal, being centered, feeling grounded, at peace within yourself, even when things are crazy. When she started prioritizing her own well-being, sleep, food, water, exercise, her faith, she found she could handle everything else much better.
And she makes the point this isn't just good for you individually.
Right. She felt her kids benefited too. By seeing her work hard, seeing the value in pursuing something.
Okay, let's tackle mommy guilt. The book goes right at it.
And she does not hold back, calls it bullshit.
Wow.
Yeah. Self-destruction, debilitating, definitely not divine, she says. It just makes you question every single thing you do.
She has that story about her daughter falling.
Right, while she was just trying to put sunscreen on her. Her point is, look, even when you're trying your absolute best, stuff happens. Feeling guilty about it is just pointless. It doesn't help anything.
So the message for this excuse is basically you could do both.
Yes. It's absolutely possible to pursue something important for yourself and still show up fully for the people you love. You can be this and that.
The key is you decide what's true for you.
Exactly. You decide. Don't buy into other people's opinions or let that guilt paralyze you.
Okay, another big one. Fear of failure, especially failing publicly.
Yes. A huge barrier. She tells that story about deciding to, call her shot publicly.
With her previous book, Girl, Wash Your Face.
Right. Telling her huge audience, like 850,000 people, that it was going to be a New York Times bestseller.
That takes guts. Serious guts.
It really does. And then, well, the book didn't hit the list right away.
Oof, publicly.
Yep. She said she felt incredibly sad, embarrassed, like she'd let everyone down, a very visible setback.
But what was the takeaway from that? What did she learn?
That she had to walk her talk. She was out there telling women that failure is just part of the process, that trying is what matters. So she had to live that herself, right then and there.
She uses a powerful analogy about aiming high, doesn't she?
Yeah, it's great. She says if you only aim for what you know you can hit, sure, you might get there, but you'll never go any higher.
Stuck in the comfort zone.
Exactly. But if you aim way, way above your head, even if you fail to reach the absolute top, you'll still fly so much higher just by going for it.
So she'd rather try and maybe fall.
Rather fly, rather dream, rather fall, she says. That's why she keeps sharing her big goals publicly, to show it's okay to aim high, maybe inspire others to ask what if for themselves.
So the real fear shouldn't be failing.
It should be never achieving anything at all because you were too afraid of what others might think of you for trying. That's the core message there.
Which leads right into another excuse. It's been done before. The comparison trap.
Totally. You look at someone else doing something similar, something you want to do, and you think, well, they're already doing it better than I ever could, so why bother?
She gives examples of people saying that to her.
Yeah, like, I could never write like you, or I could never speak like you.
And her response is pretty direct.
Very direct. Stop comparing your beginning with my middle, or anyone else's middle.
That's such a good reminder.
Isn't it? And she says she deliberately keeps her old stuff visible. Early blog posts, clunky videos, awkward photos, precisely to show her own journey, her own progress.
To prove that nobody starts out polished?
Exactly. I did not wake up like this, and that person you're comparing yourself to, neither did they. And here's the kicker she adds about this excuse.
What's that?
It's not really about skill or if it's been done. It's about fear. You're afraid you'll suck because you're new at it.
Right? You probably will.
And she says flat out, you are going to suck. All beginners do.
Okay, there's something weirdly freeing about just admitting that.
Right. It takes the pressure off. If you know you're supposed to be bad at first, there's no expectation of perfection. And your potential to get better is like exponential.
Let's circle back to that theme of other people's opinions. It keeps coming up as a major roadblock.
It really does, because it's just so pervasive. She hammers home the point. Other people don't get to decide what you're allowed to want or be or try.
Letting their opinions control you is a choice.
It's a choice, and maybe even a habit. And sometimes, she suggests, it's a way to avoid taking responsibility for our own inaction, like blaming your parents for why you can't cope now, instead of focusing on what you can do.
And that tricky thing where others might not help you finish, but they can definitely talk you out of starting.
Oh, absolutely. And she breaks down negative opinions into two types, which I thought was interesting.
Okay.
There are the expressed opinions, actual negative comments you hear or read. But then there's what she calls hearsay.
Hearsay. Like gossip?
Sort of, but more like the negative opinions you imagine people have. Stuff you assume without any actual evidence, like being convinced your mother-in-law disapproves, or that your cousin's comment was definitely passive-aggressive.
Ah, okay. So it's stuff you're making up in your own head.
Exactly. It's total self-sabotage. She quotes Eleanor Roosevelt, nobody can make you feel bad without your consent. And then the author adds her spin. Be very careful you're not consenting to let your mind make you feel bad when nobody else actually did anything.
Ooh, that's powerful. You're letting imagined criticism control you.
And blaming imaginary critics to avoid taking responsibility for your own fear or inaction.
So what's the bottom line on opinions, according to the source?
Simple. It doesn't matter what they think of you. It matters what you think of you. Their opinion only gets power if you give it power. Deciding not to obsess over it. That's freedom.
Okay. She also mentions an idea from a bonus chapter. Good girls don't hustle. What's that about?
It tackles that idea that ambition, especially financial ambition or working hard, isn't quite proper or feminine. That good girls should be content, maybe quieter.
Okay.
She contrasts her childhood dreams with the reality after her parents' divorce, living in a rundown place, the shame of not having money for a simple birthday party.
And that experience created a desire for something different.
A real hunger for more. More access, more experiences, more knowledge, more ability to help people. And she recognized that, realistically, achieving that often required financial resources. It wasn't just accepting things, it was actively wanting a bigger life.
But that hustle, that drive for more, it wasn't always well received.
No. She says even family, with good intentions, sometimes didn't get it. Disapproval for being a working mom when money was tight, and weirdly, even more vocal disapproval later when her husband made more money and she technically didn't have to work, but still chose to.
How does she respond to that kind of judgment?
Pretty definitively. She says something like, "Some say good girls don't hustle. Well, I'm okay with that. I care more about changing the world than I do about its opinion of me."
Wow. Prioritizing the mission over the opinions.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've really dug into these excuses the source identifies: fitting in, roles, failure, comparison, opinions. They're like internal roadblocks. But the book doesn't just leave you there, right? It talks about what to do about it, the behaviors to adopt.
Right. That's the crucial next step. How do you move forward? And she defines behavior simply as how you act, your habits, actions, words, choices.
And the key idea is that these are choices, even the habitual ones.
Yes. Even if they feel automatic, they started as choices and can be changed with new choices. We choose who we're becoming every day through these actions.
A big one she talks about is stop asking permission.
Yeah, this is powerful. Basically, grown women shouldn't need to ask permission to exist, or to want things, or to go after their dreams. She even briefly touches on how, historically, patriarchal culture has impacted women's belief in themselves.
So it's about owning your own life and desires, even within relationships.
Absolutely. You can be your own person and be in loving relationships. You can manage your priorities and desires in a way that honors both yourself and your loved ones.
How do you actually do that, though? How do you cultivate that behavior?
It starts with consciously deciding to stop. Stop asking for permission to be you. Stop valuing their opinion of your dream more than your own. Start prioritizing your self-care, even if it might inconvenience someone for a moment.
She gives specific examples of things you're allowed to do.
Yes. You are allowed to want what's best for you. Allowed to chase your dream, even if they don't get it. Allowed to take time away from kids if needed. Allowed to do something that makes your partner maybe a bit uncomfortable.
Instead of asking, you just state it.
Yeah, state who you are, what you need, what you're doing, not asking if it's okay. She says you're allowed to simply exist without permissions or opinions or qualifiers.
That word qualifiers is interesting. What does she mean by that?
Qualifying means like limiting something, making it less intense. She uses girl boss as the prime example. Adding girl diminishes the power of boss. It qualifies it based on gender. She finds it disrespectful, damaging, and points out the irony that women often do it to themselves and each other. Her husband, she notes, is never called a boy executive.
That's a really sharp observation about language.
Right.
Okay, shifting gears to looking forward, embrace your ambition.
This starts with getting really clear on your vision. She has this exercise.
Right.
Picture yourself 10 years from now, the absolute most magnificent possible future version of you. Get super specific. What does she look like? How does she spend her day? How is she loved? What are her habits? What brings her joy?
And once you have that vivid picture,
You pick 10 dreams from that vision. 10 specific things that, if they came true, would make that future self real.
then there's a daily practice attached to this.
Yes. Write down those 10 dreams every single day. But here's the twist. Write them as if they've already happened.
Oh, interesting. Why?
She says it trains your subconscious. You focus on the goal as achieved reality, not just something you're going to do. It helps your brain find pathways. She still does it. One of her examples was flying her family first class on personal trips, written down daily as if it's already happening.
So it funnels down. 10-year vision, 10 dreams, then focusing on one goal at a time.
Exactly. The dream is the big picture. The goal is the thing you're actively working on now.
Okay, let's go back to habits. You mentioned earlier success is about repetition.
The source really stresses this. Success isn't one giant leap. It's doing maybe 50 things consistently over and over. Consistency beats intensity almost every time. She uses that simple habit loop, cue, action, reward.
And her emotional eating example showed how that works.
Yeah. Anxiety or fear was the cue. Going to the kitchen was the action. Binge eating brought temporary relief, the reward. Bad habits stick because that loop is so ingrained.
But understanding the loop gives you power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can identify the cue or interrupt the action or find a healthier reward. You can consciously swap out bad habits for better ones.
Is there one specific habit she really highlights?
The morning routine. Waking up an hour earlier than you absolutely have to, especially if you have kids.
Why is that so important?
She calls it key. It's everything. Because if you wake up when your kids wake you up or when the day demands it, you start on defense. Reactive. That extra hour. It's proactive time. Time for you.
It's about setting the tone for the whole day.
Precisely. Plan that morning hour intentionally around the kind of day you want to have. Her mantra is basically, if you own the morning, then you own the day. If you own the day, then you own the week. It's presented as incredibly foundational.
Okay, what about dealing with external stuff, like people who aren't supportive, naysayers?
Yeah, handling negativity or lack of support is crucial. The source gives some really practical tips.
Like what?
First, prepare before you even see them. Don't wait till you're face to face. Mentally prep yourself. Know your why this goal matters so much. Maybe have some responses ready. Get yourself physically ready, like listening to pump up music.
That makes sense.
Be proactive.
Yeah. And if it's about food or health goals, maybe eat or work out beforehand so you're not vulnerable or tempted in the moment. She tells that funny story about being pescatarian and always bringing her own amazing salad to family things.
The bomb salad defense.
Exactly. Deflects questions, keeps her on track. Another strategy is planning ahead to make things easier on the people who do support you.
How so?
If you know you'll be crazy busy working on your goal, map it out. Arrange childcare, figure out meal prep, find workarounds, talk to your partner, your close family or friends. Explain why this is important and how you're trying to manage it all. Acknowledge the sacrifices involved. That communication helps ease the guilt.
And a huge part of managing all this is saying no, right? Oh, absolutely essential. She talks about deciding not to volunteer at her kid's school simply because she hated it.
Even though it felt like something she should do.
Right, like an unspoken rule. She just decided it didn't align with her core priorities, which she lists as self-growth, faith first, then husband marriage, then children motherhood, then work mission. School volunteering didn't make the cut.
She applies a business idea to saying no, too.
Yeah, the only touch it once rule. When a request comes in, decide yes or no right away. Don't linger in maybe or probably. That's just delaying the inevitable.
Because the courage to say no might fade.
Exactly. Be polite, she says, but be honest. She realized she was drowning in requests, pick my brain meetings, charity things, and every yes to someone else's agenda was a no to her own priorities.
So she started saying no differently.
She started politely declining by stating clearly that she couldn't commit because it would take time from her family or core work, the big insight. A yes to them is often a no to you.
Okay, let's talk about actually doing the work. The planning and action piece. She calls it the roadmap. It's easy to get lost.
For sure. Her method is kind of cool. Start at the finish line. What's the one clear goal you're working towards right now? That's your destination.
Then you brainstorm all the ways to get there.
Yeah. List everything you can possibly think of that might help. But, and this is a big bidgie, but she warns that not all those ideas are useful. Many are just distractions, maybe more fun or sexier than the actual hard work needed.
So you need to filter that big list.
Drastically. After brainstorming, you have to identify the three major things. The three core milestones that, if you hit them, would absolutely get you to your goal, no question.
How do you find those three things?
By working backward from the goal, what's the essential step right before you finish? Okay, what's the essential step before that? And before that, those become your main guideposts or mile markers.
And these steps, they're doable, but they're always work.
Always work. She emphasizes that writing, for example, is always hard for her. Even now, there's no magic bullet.
And what happens when you inevitably mess up? Fall off the wagon. Get sidetracked.
This is key. She's very upfront. It happens. You miss a workout, you eat the cake, you stop writing for weeks. Shame is not the answer.
It's not permanent.
Nothing short of death is permanent, she says. A slip-up is temporary. The real danger is letting that short-term choice become a long-term reality by just staying off track. Half the battle is just being willing to get back up again.
Confidence comes up a lot, too. And she connects it to something potentially controversial, appearance.
Yeah, she acknowledges this might seem shallow to some, but she shares her experience. Investing time and resources into how she looked genuinely made her feel more confident and capable. She believes most women feel better when they like how they look.
She uses that if not now, then when idea here, too.
Great. Like, use the good dishes, dress up for date night. Don't save everything for some imaginary someday that never comes. She even talks very openly about getting breast implants.
Which she admits was for vanity.
Purely vanity, she says. But it worked for her, boosted her confidence after kids. And she had to grapple with that. How does this fit with focusing on inner growth?
What was her conclusion?
That our own insecurities often drive how we react to others. We either get curious or we get judgmental. Judging someone else for doing something differently often just reveals our own insecurity in that area.
So she encourages experimenting with your look.
Totally. Learn how to do your makeup from YouTube, figure out how to dress your body type. Her point is, just because you used to be a certain way doesn't mean you have to stay that way. If you don't like it, figure it out, invest in it, and don't let anyone make you feel guilty.
This relates to acting confident too, right? Even if you don't quite feel it yet, that fake it till you make it thing.
Kind of. She tells a story about landing a big event planning gig at Sundance early on. She didn't have direct experience in that specific type of event.
But she took it anyway.
Yeah. But her confidence wasn't just fake. It came from knowing she was resourceful, she could figure things out, she wouldn't let the client down, she pushed herself to the edge of her skills, acted confident, and then worked like crazy behind the scenes to back it up.
And community plays a role in confidence too.
Big time. She shares how her sister started working at a fancy spa, felt totally intimidated, but became naturally confident just by being around confident coworkers and clients. Environment matters.
It's important to remember her own success wasn't overnight either.
Oh, definitely not. She stresses it was over a decade of grinding, focusing, falling down, getting back up. No shortcuts, no connections or money at the start. Just work ethic, a dream, patience, and sheer perseverance.
Okay, let's just quickly revisit consistency and focus. They seem to underpin everything.
They really do. It goes back to that doing 50 things over and over. Consistency, consistency. It might feel like nothing's changing. Then bam, breakthrough. Avoid what she calls the drunk butterfly approach.
The drunk butterfly.
Yeah, flitting around, trying a million different confusing things like fad diets instead of just sticking to the few core actions that actually produce results.
Got it. Okay, a really practical habit shift, she suggests, involves your daily task list.
Right. She says ditch the traditional to-do list and use a results list instead.
Why? What's wrong with a to-do list?
Because you can spend all day checking off small tasks, feeling busy, but never actually moving closer to your main goal, your next mile marker. You just circle around.
So a results list focuses on the outcome.
Exactly. What is the actual result I need to achieve today? And then how can I get to that result most efficiently?
Her writing goal is the example again.
Yeah. The result she needed was 2,500 words. She realized her office was inefficient, too many distractions, even ones she created herself.
So she changed her environment.
Yep. Found that writing at a coffee shop got her to the result much faster. The takeaway is to figure out what helps you get in the zone: specific music, a drink, a routine, and use that wherever you are to maximize efficiency towards the result. Her combo was Espresso Campana and Kendrick Lamar's Humble on repeat.
Huh. Whatever works. Another behavior is choosing positivity.
Yes, choosing a positive attitude is presented as a daily, conscious practice. Even when life is chaotic, kids, house, work, stress, she tells that incredibly intense story about being in labor
Oh, right, choosing to push without drugs.
as this extreme example of making a hard choice, choosing her response, even in a really difficult, painful moment.
Mhm.
It illustrates that you can choose your attitude.
And how do you cultivate that choice daily?
Practicing gratitude, consciously surrounding yourself with positive influences, and actively managing your thoughts because thoughts control feelings. She claims she's happy like 90% of the time, not because life is easy, but because she chooses that perspective.
Okay, last behavior area, leadership.
The author's view is that everyone is a leader in some capacity, not just CEOs. Leading your family, leading in your community, leading yourself.
And she wants to build a community of leaders.
Yeah, she said she's not trying to gather fans. She wants to help develop leaders.
What's the final call to action from the source then?
It's a powerful call for you, the listener, to really step into your own purpose, to create, inspire, build, dream, blaze your own trail. And this is important, then turn around and help light the way for other women behind you. Believing every woman deserves the chance to be who she was meant to be, and speaking that belief into their lives.
Wow. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground from this source material today. We started with those excuses, fitting in, what other women do, the fear of failure, comparing ourselves, worrying about opinions, all those internal barriers. Then we moved into the actionable behaviors the author proposes. Things like stopping asking permission, really owning your ambition, building solid habits like that morning routine, figuring out how to handle naysayers and say no.
Right, creating that roadmap for your goals, working on confidence from the inside out, taking consistent action, choosing positivity.
And finally, embracing leadership in whatever form it takes in your life.
Yeah, the source really lays out a practical framework. It's one person's experience, sure, but it's designed to give you tools and permission, really, to go after your goals without feeling like you need to apologize for them.
It definitely feels like a potential shortcut to grasping some key ideas for personal growth. Lots to think about.
For sure.
So building on all that, thinking about everything we've just discussed, from the source, the excuses we make, the behaviors we can adopt.
Maybe the question to leave you with is this. What is one small permission you can stop asking yourself or someone else for today? And link to that. What's just one tiny step you could take towards a goal you've maybe been putting off because you thought, it's been done before?